Good evening. This is Tom Newentner, the conversationalist. How are you doing today? I've had a crazy, crazy, crazy day, but let's go on with the real world. Let's finish up with what to expect, where the middle class is going to fit into this new world of Donald Trump and change and uh, just the general gist of what you can do to make it easier on yourself and making sure that we get what we want this time. Because let's face it, the people spoke. The vast majority have voted for Trump. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you're moving out of the country, that's minutia. That's stuff that you have to decide for yourself. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to be happy, but we used to say back way back in when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, you elect the person and you hold their feet to the fire, and if they don't produce, then you don't reelect them. Now, with president, it's a little harder, right? You basically you you buy them for 4 years, right? Uh, it's important that you understand the distinction. Congress is in for 2 years, Senate's in for 6 years, Supreme Court's in forever, which I think they should change. I think at 80, every Supreme Court judge should, retire. And someone at least 50 years old should be nominated. Under 50, I think that's too young. I think they don't have. I know this is a terrible thing to say, and it sounds like aging, but it's not. I'm a 73-year-old guy. I'm telling you, at 50, I was at my prime. You have to understand that we're living longer, we're eating better, we're healthier, we take care of ourselves. At 50, pardon my expression, but it's an old expression, is I had the world by the ass. Okay. That being said, we have an obligation to the country as citizens to do our part. You know that little document, We the People? Understand that the most important thing that you have as an American citizen is being informed. Now, gets to the crux. What's going on with broadcast media? What is going on right now today? If you go on YouTube or Facebook or any one of the cable stations, you still have these talking heads talking about what Trump is going to do, which is totally wrong, what he has done, which is a total lie. Did they not get the message? Did they not get the email? Because I watched some broadcast news today just to verify what was being said in the commentaries of my podcasts and uh, other issues on the internet. And I don't see any kind of reality in broadcast news. I mean, I've never seen reality in broadcast news, but this is amazing to me that the people have spoken in such numbers. The guy is talking about exactly what the people want: smaller federal government, less intrusive federal government, both in taxes and your life. They want accommodations being made for people. People on the dole, welfare, whatever, shouldn't be just kicked off, but they should. We made this problem in 1963 with the Great Society. Now we need to fix it. The hens have come to roost, as the farmers say. You and you alone can see that the changes are made, because it's all well and good to announce all these people and all these changes, but unless they happen, unless we follow through. And what I'm talking about with that is, if somebody gets in there and they're not doing the job, you need to flood your senators and your congressmen and Trump with letters and emails saying, look, this was a bad decision. We need to get rid of this guy. I don't care if he's running, the federal agency of East Wyoming. I don't care how small it is, or he's running the Pentagon. If he's not doing the job, if he's a bureaucrat, a political appointee. Those are the people that are killing us in America. We allowed them to get too big and too strong. So we need to bring this down to a simple fact. And the fact is, no matter what Trump puts out there, or Elon, or Swami, or Tom on the border, or, no matter what we do, unless the American people step up, and it's almost like Back to the Future. We've got to go back to a time when politicians were not full-time pensioned out employees of the federal government. They get elected to office and they need to be held to a higher standard. And when they're not meeting that higher standard, you vote them out. I don't know how to make it any simpler than that. That's my rant on that. So let me say, like, subscribe, comment. I think I give you a barrel full right now, enough to comment about me dumping this all in your lap as the American people. Share, hit the bell so you know when this handsome devil gets on the air. Give some love to Aortic Hope. I hope you guys watched their videos today. Uh, I I didn't get to see them. I'm going to watch them right after this, but I understand the first notch. Very informative. PAD is on the air right now, if I'm not mistaken, or just got off the air, and they have a great doctor on. You got to watch this. Just click over, like, subscribe to Aortic Hope and to PAD, Way of the Heart. Make sure that these people get some love and send them some dinero. They do good work, right? Do good work. St. Jude, can't say enough about it. Cannot say enough about St. Jude. Anybody who takes care of kids, God bless them. God bless them. They don't charge a nickel. You come in with your child and your child is sick, you know what they do? They put you up in an apartment and you live on campus and you're with your child 24/7 while they take over from being sick. God, can you do any more? Is there any more that can be done? Because if there is, let me know and I'll make it happen. You take care of the entire family because one child is sick. All God's blessings. And then we're gonna rock around a little bit in February. I hope that you guys are ready for this. So informative for one day and a fun day of rock for another one. So please like and subscribe. Sure that Josh is putting up all the contact information. Just know that these people are near and dear to my heart, and it's important to me that you guys participate just a little bit. I'm not asking for millions of dollars. I get those from foundations, and uh, I'll hit my friends at Deckers up for a big Christmas gift. But that's another story. Um, you and I, we're considered the middle class, where the middle class was about 2/3 of the population in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's now to less than 24%. Right now, we went from the majority to the minority. And I hate to tell you this, but the middle class 2% or 24% is not at the top. There's a lot more poorer people on the percentages, and there's a lot less rich people on the other end patrolling. Some people say 94% of the money, and some people say 98%. It doesn't matter. If you don't have the jingle in your pocket, it doesn't matter who has it. You have to understand your position in this financial crisis. And your position is to say, no, simple word, right? No, I'm not going to pay $5 a dozen for eggs. I'll go buy a container of frozen eggs, which is like a third of the price, and everybody gets scrambled eggs until prices come down because nobody's going to get over easy eggs. Everything's going to be scrambled because we're getting frozen eggs. Used to call them Navy eggs. It's just the way it is. Eggs that have been cracked a little lemon juice put in them, and they're frozen. There's still eggs. They're not fake eggs. They're not powdered eggs like they had in World War II. Use them. Undercut these bastards that are trying to rip us off. Every day, every day, farmers in upstate New York are looking at a place to put their milk. I mean, Chobani has uh, is a big outfit here. I mean, they will take every gallon of milk they can possibly get because they have these big storage facilities, and they produce yogurt for around the world. And we have other big, you know, Breakstone and all those people have factories up here for their sour cream and cottage cheese and all that. So we're pretty lucky up here with our dairy farms. Um, we have a market for it, but there are people across America dumping milk every day. Why are they dumping milk? Because there's no place to sell it. Every place in the supply line is chock full of it. We still have caves and caves of cheese that all these these big food corporations went and bought from the federal government, but are still storing the cheese in these caves at the federal expense. How does that work? I remember growing up in the 50s and 60s when we had a glut of cheese and peanut butter and canned bacon from World War II. They gave it out. They couldn't give it out fast enough. And I mean, we had a lot of kids in my house and a lot of relatives. I'm not ashamed to say that stuff came in handy. I remember my mom putting a pot of water on there and putting a number size 10 can of peanut butter that had an inch of oil on it. And she would boil the can and stir the oil back into the peanut butter. And when it got included, then she would put it in small jars and keep it for us. We had it forever. The bacon, my dad would take a pair of shears and cut open the number 10 can. And this this glob would come out and it looked just like the can. It had the ribs in it. It looked like canned cranberry stuff. And my mom would take it and put it in this big blue oval pan and put it in the oven, like 150, 200 degrees. And what would happen was all that, oh my God, I can't even, it, it was tallow. It was a pork tallow. For those who don't know what tallow is, it's the fat renderings. It's what I still cook with. It's what a lot of people don't cook with, it trans fats and all that stuff. That's another story. So she would melt this away and she would literally pull the bacon out and put it on parchment paper and then roll it up and freeze it. But she was left with this big, huge tub of tallow. And I always thought, well, throw it outside, feed it to the pigs or something. No, she would can this stuff. She made the best steak fries in tallow. We used to wait for hamburger night. And she cut these big pieces of potato and she'd boil. And then she would fry them in tallow and take them out. And she would add some peanut oil to the tallow and put them back in and fry. It's called boil double fry. It's a very old technique for doing really crispy outside potatoes and really soft, wonderful, moist potato in the inside. And they're big. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're the size of russet potatoes. Used to weigh 2 pounds. I mean, when you had a russet potato back when Idaho potato, they were huge. Never ask for a baked potato when you're going out because that thing takes up 2/3 of the plate. Now we have these genetically engineered potatoes exactly at 6 ounces or 12 ounces, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It's like peaches. We engineered them so they can ship, but they taste terrible. That's another story. Let me get back on track here. I'm talking about responsibility. People being responsible for themselves and for the greater good of the nation. So as much as my trepidation and I put it out there, I was very leery about President Trump. Still have a lot of reservations about him. He's a businessman and he's going to do what's ever best for business. because the way business goes, the way America goes. Which one of the presidents said that? Ding, 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 ding. Come on, somebody Google it. Dun, 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 dun. See, you don't have the minutia of history. You don't understand. We used to have sayings for everything. Do you understand this? We had sayings and codes. We lived by the greater good of society. We did not. We did not look at each other as individual race groups. We didn't look at ourselves as we were all immigrants. I was first generation Italian American. When my grandfather was at the table, you didn't speak Italian. You spoke English or Americanese. Because he was an immigrant. He was an Italian person living in America. My dad was a German American. My mom was an Italian American. You see? But when they came together, I'm not a German Italian American. I'm an American. I live here. My family's been here 100 years. More. So we're not Italians, we're not Germans anymore. We're Americans. Almost said the bad word, and I put some money in the cuss jar because there's two little chitlins sitting on my steps right now, counting the number of curses I'm doing so they get their money. But that's another story. I am backing President Trump 100% at this point. I like the people he's appointing. I like the changes he's talking about. I like the changes even more that the people he's appointing are doing. I would like to see the CIA go and the IRS and GSA and all these little peripheral, the FDA, the Farm Bureau, which I have a personal resentment for today because I'm getting zero cooperation from them in a time of need. But that's another story. These people, for lack of any other term or nuance of the situation, are coming in not from a political background, but from a business background, or in Kennedy's position, a lifetime of working on things in healthcare and saving our rivers. Personally cleaned up the Hudson River. You can now fish in it. When I was a kid, you didn't fish in the Hudson. You didn't swim in the Hudson River because there'd be things floating along you didn't want to see. Kennedy's responsible for all this. And he did it on the quiet. He did it on the back door. It's only been recently that he's been out there. Do you understand? Your efforts as the American citizen must marry with the efforts of the President of the United States. Whether you like him or not, you can take two roads. You can support him. You can be one of his advocates and be his eyes and ears on the ground. Or you can sit for the next 4 years being pissed off, complaining. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to get out on the road anyway. Whatever you do does not directly affect me. But here's what does affect me. When there is change, not all change is good. All change is hard, but not all change is successful. How we envision it when we try to put the change together. So we have to be his monitors. We need to be his eyes and ears. We have to understand without our input, these new people coming in are not going to have the direction that we want. They have their own direction. They have Trump's direction. You understand? But we, the people, have spoken by our votes. We overwhelmingly said bullshit to the Democratic Party. The Republican Party isn't really the best, but it's the only alternative. That being said, the least worst, we need to hold their feet to the fire. Okay? And we need to support their decisions. You understand that? They do away with the Farm Bureau and all that hierarchy. Initially, it's going to hurt every farmer in America. There's going to be pain because there's not going to be an organization that right now doling out money in disaster funds and all that crap. There's going to be some lag time. And there's going to be some pain. But down the road, 6, 8, 10 months, it will be better. The regulations will stop. You know, I don't remember a time I didn't drink raw milk. The FDA and all these three-letter agencies are telling us how dangerous raw milk is. Well, listen to me. If you're not cleaning your cow up, if you're not sanitizing your buckets and your transfer system, you're going to contaminate your milk. People have gotten lazy. So instead of fixing the problem, they heat the milk to 140, 142 degrees, knock out all the nutrition in it, run it through a plain cooler, put it into a tank. Now it's pasteurized, but it isn't worth shit. There's hardly any nutritional value to it. Raw milk, if handled properly, sanitized equipment. You clean up the cow before you even put the sanitized equipment on it. You quickly store it in a cold jet. You make sure that it always stays right around 40, somewhere between 36 degrees and 40 degrees. Bacteria doesn't grow. There's no problem. There's no the only contamination when the milk is pure when it comes out of the cow. The contamination is between when it comes out of the cow and when you drink it. So that's why people get sick on raw milk. Or the shelf life is not as long with raw milk, so people don't get rid of it. You see? It's a methodology, it's a production of products that is not the problem. But the FDA and whoever makes equipment for pasteurization have said, Cooper, please. God, he's into the garbage. So anyway, let me tell you a short story about him. So I'm dealing with a problem on the main farm, and they came and picked him up, and he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't leave my side. So they had to cancel his training because he just wouldn't leave me. He was stuck to my side. And in fact, when one of the guys went to actually grab his collar, I never heard him growl like that. And I thought, this is stupid. Why are we stressing the dog? Just leave him here for today. We'll just cancel one training session. But we've really bonded, and that's really nice. He's 9 months old now, and he's at my side all the time. And every time I was getting up and down into the fire truck, which was pretty hard when your legs don't work, he was right there. He was right underneath me. He got to be a pain in the butt because he obviously thinking he was going to break my fall. What was going to break my fall was the ground. I didn't want him in between me and the ground. I'm still pretty big guy. But that's another story. You as the American public, the American citizens, have this responsibility. It's not a big responsibility. It's not a hard responsibility. It's not even a time-consuming responsibility. How long does it take you to type up 10 sentences in an email? Nothing. Nothing. You spend more time going to get a beer than you do typing that email. Type the email. Send it to Shwami or Elon or Tom at the border. You can actually send it to Tom at the border. I'd love that. Anyway, and tell them exactly what you want. And if they're doing something that you think is wrong, tell them. Participation. It's the thing we're lacking. The people are not participating in their own government. They are not. And I repeat this. Let me say this one more time for the people in the back of the room the ones that get the F, you are not going to get anything out of government unless you participate. And I don't even mean the federal government at this point, because I'm a little pissed off with town of Fenton. I'm talking about the supervisor at the lowest level of government, or the county level, or the state level. Oh, and before I forget about this, I want to talk out to my cousin Joe. Joe, God bless you. I love you. Down in Texas, you people got it going on. But Joe, come on. Not everybody in New York State is a Democrat. I know you're coming up with all these facts and the trail cams of the immigrants coming from Canada into Vermont and all this about immigrants and coming across the border and shipping them to New York. Joe, stop. You you sound foolish. I'm sorry. People I've shown your comments to can't believe you're saying this stuff. You had a problem with immigration. Your people did not seal that border. If it was federal government wasn't going to do it, Texans should have done it. And your solution was to pack them on buses and send them to New York City. And New York City's solved the problem by sending them all across New York State. Now, if you look at the real voting map, not these maps you keep putting up, everything in upstate New York is red. We're so red. We're so conservative. We're so Republican up here. But you've got 8 to 11 million people in New York City, so they just count us. If we have 1.5 million people in all of upstate New York, but you get outside the city, outside of Albany, outside of Buffalo, the entire state of New York is red. It's unfortunate that we don't have enough people to counteract the people in New York City or the other cities. Please stop posting about immigrants. Yes, you have a problem. You ship them north. But we have a natural remedy up here. As soon as it got cold and the snow came, we have no more immigrants. They're all going back to Texas. Joe, God bless you. I love you. You're my cousin, but stop. You got a shovel in your hand, you're digging a hole. I can't even get to Texas quick enough to get the shovel out of your hand. Stop. That's my personal rant. Now let's get back to the facts. The federal government only exists by the people. We vote them in, we vote them out, and we agree with what they do or not. And when we don't, we vote them out. When we agree with them, we vote them back in. Is that simple enough? I hope it is. I hope somebody's out there shaking their head saying, well, that makes it pretty simple. I want you to understand that we have a time and an ability and the opportunity for change. For change. We can make substantial changes in the next 4 years if, and once again, I'm saying this, if the people step up. President Trump can be the leader of the band and send those minions out to do, kind of like the Crusades, which is a terrible reference, but you're sending out armies to tackle these people and that people and unify the whole thing. And your intentions are good, but your methodology is terrible. So we need to keep his intentions good and control his methodology. You understand that? Just have to be careful. We don't want to make a greater problem. You see, we have enough problems. And what we're doing here is a delicate balance. The internet, the coming Web3, the coming satellites for connection will be better connected than ever, especially here in upstate New York where our infrastructure is terrible. It's all coming. Some of it's here. Elon's got his satellites up. More people subscribe to it, the cheaper it's going to get. Think about this. When it first came out, it was like $1,500. I got mine for $299. $299. When it first came out, it was like almost $300 a month. Now it's 129. I think it's 129. I don't know for sure. I'll have to ask the accountant. But you understand? It's affordable now. So we don't have to rely on brick and mortar. And we have coax. We don't even have fiber. So with all this coming about, and it's going to move fast, faster than you can ever believe, because Trump is not a person to say, "Okay, we'll get back next week." That's not how he works. He does not work that way. He works as a businessman. He has a dozen people around the table. Everybody gets to speak their mind. He tells them exactly what needs to be done when he wants it done. And he doesn't want to hear you saying, well, this is a problem. That's why I have you working here to overcome the problems. Not to tell me about the problems. I already know about your problems. Like Elon said 2 nights ago, he had a brilliant 34-minute speech. And he explained exactly what Doge is going to do. Excuse me. I have a cough from fighting a fire all day. That's another story. Doge is going to be the pointer, the investigator, the person that gets out there. And when I say Doge, it's Elon Musk and Swami, but it's people underneath him. They're really brick and mortar type people that are going to go into the brick and mortar and take it apart piece by piece. Are we going to have overkill? Absolutely. Are we going to have backtrack on things? Absolutely. That's what change is about. Change is about not just saying this is what what we've been doing, and this is what we're going to do, and hell with everything in the middle. Change is about being fluid. You change something, you see how it goes, you fine tune it, you tweak it, it's better. Take the simple thing about moving federal facilities outside of Washington, D.C. How many vacant buildings do we have in Virginia alone, in Baltimore, Maryland, and all the states surrounding Washington, D.C.? How many vacant warehouses and factories and corporate parks do we have? So moving the federal agencies out of Washington, D.C., decentralizing. I remember when they centralized it because it was easy to protect, but that was World War II. 75 years ago, 78 years ago. You understand? It's important that you grasp its concept that with change comes turmoil, and all change, even good change, is hard. So expect it. Stop sitting back and saying, you know, you're not participating because it's just too hard. It takes too much time. Bullshit. You want America back? You want a place where you can afford to buy a house, a car, have kids, not have to have a second job just so you can afford a child? You want that America back? That's the America we had in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and the early part of the 80s. Father went to work, mother might work part time just for shits and giggles, but they didn't have to. You could have 3 or 4 kids. You had all your toys. You owned your home. It is important if you want this. If you truly what you're saying on all these blogs and internet and YouTube and Facebook, if you truly want a better America, participate. And I don't mean participate in everything because you won't get anything done. Pick 1 or 2 things and participate. What's your grudge? Is it the asphalt on your road for a local issue? Is it a senator state or federal, that you don't like, campaign against them. Is there one you like? Campaign for them. If you see something that you don't like within the whatever federal system, say something. Put it in an email so you have a documentation. So if anybody gets back to you, from the federal government about what you said, you at least have documentation. Well, I'm going to have to cut this short because I don't seem to be able to control this cough. Unfortunately, we had a little problem here, and still ongoing. I can see the glow out my window, and I've sucked down a lot of smoke and embers and shit today. And like I said, I didn't expect it, didn't want it, but I'm dealing with it because I'm an American. I don't get to the problem and can't solve it and say, well, I'll just leave it at this point or give it off to somebody else. I'm an American. If I have a problem, I solve it. And if I can't solve it, I bring in the people I know can help me solve it. We got to get back to that mentality. We got to get back to the mentality of we, the American people, run this government, and this is what we want done. And we have Trump and all his minions in there. Now let's get it done. It's very simple said. It's very hard to be done. But if it's worthwhile, if you want to leave something to your children, your brother's children, your kids, your sister's children, you don't have children, you don't want children, we're not going to have children, or, whatever that your situation is. I don't care if you're gay, transsexual, bisexual, whatever else there is. It doesn't affect me. Unless you're in my face, it does not affect me. You have whatever psychosis you want, and I'll support it. Because you be you, and I'll be me. You can't be me without letting people be them. Get it? Get back to that simpler life. Understand that people in America need to reverse in their attitude and expand their horizons. The internet is here to expand our horizons. Business is changing. We can expand our horizons. Farming is changing. The amount of mechanical revolution that's coming will put the 1800s to shame. Excuse me. Gotta get some honey. Best thing for a cough, but it's downstairs. And I'm here alone, unsupervised. It's the whole weekends I've been supervised by about 30 people. So being on my own is pretty neat. But that's another story. Actually, my wife's at my daughter's house and they're having a second turkey dinner together and having a girls' night, which translates into me having a relaxed guys' night. I don't have to listen to any of the female minutia that happened today because I have enough of my own. All right, guys, like and subscribe, share, comment, put the bell in the right order so you get to know I'm on. Take care of St. Jude and aortic hope. EDA way to the heart. Rock on! I'm going to close this out in the next 6 minutes. I'm going to give Josh a little time to add his 2 cents because I always appreciate that. I also appreciate what he's done to get me to this point on air. I have an appointment with Sal tomorrow, Josh, for finances, and I guess I'm going to be transferring some more money. I lost enough money today. Why not transfer some more, right? What's the difference? It's only money. It's a tool to get whatever we want, right? And what we want is this to work. So I'll just transfer a little more money. That being said, stay with us, gang. There's a lot of changes coming. We're going to modify the way we're doing this. We're going to change it up a little bit because talking to this box is great, but I'm more of a conversationalist, and talking to the box just doesn't work for me. Even though Josh has always given me the finger, and he shakes his head at the right time. Sometimes, never laughs at my jokes. All right, Joshua, Wizard
That's
of
a
Oz.
lie. I laugh at your jokes. So, before I put this up here, I want to make sure that I'm looking up the right thing. This was the statement by Calvin Coolidge,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
yeah.
And so that
Calvin was
is
a hell of a guy. Let me tell you about Calvin Coolidge. Worthless, worthless. But he was an orator. He could speak words that would make you jump out of your clothes. But he was totally worthless as a president.
nice. Okay, and so the statement goes the business of America is business. And this was Calvin Coolidge back in 1925.
Right. And in 1925, what happened 4 years later? The
World War
Great
One. Oh.
Depression, 1929. The bottom fell out
Mm.
because the early bird, you know where the statement early bird comes from? It's canaries in the coal mines. They would put canaries in these little cages throughout the coal mine. When the canary fainted, they knew there was gas and everybody would run out.
Oh yeah, no, I know what the canary in the coal mine is for. I didn't know that's where the that statement came from though.
Yeah, yeah. It's a, Coolidge was this very smart guy who couldn't get anything done, kind of like Jimmy Carter. And but if you listen to his words and his speeches and his book, he's very intelligent, and he predicted everything. Just nobody was listening to him because he basically was an idiot with dealing with people. He had no social skills, like Jimmy Carter. Anyway, uh, once again, I thank you, Josh. I can't tell you enough. I appreciate everything you've done for me, whether it's succeeds or not. It's been a fun ride.
Hey man, I'm glad that the dog has taken his job seriously. As much as he as much as he's a big giant oaf and a puppy, you
Oh,
know?
geez.
Time to work. That dog steps right in.
He literally, at one point, I was in the barn. I was trying to fix a valve, a water valve. It was a 4-inch water valve that it had a crack in it. So I was brazing it, and I had my leather apron on and my helmet. So he didn't like that at all. He couldn't see my face, and this big leather out. It made me look even bigger than I am. And he just laid on the floor next to me, and he wasn't real sure of what was happening. And when I was finished welding this valve notch, and I was cooling it, and I took the helmet off. You could see the relief in his face, and he stood up immediately, wagging his tail, and just jumped on me and pushed me into my workbench. And I sat down on my high boy chair, and he jumped on my lap and just would not get off my lap because he knew I was in an AFib. He knew I was upset. He knew everything was going crazy because it was not a typical day, obviously, for us. And the beauty was he responded exactly the way he was trained. Now, here's the problem. When you're getting in and out of a truck, he's supposed to be within arm's reach of me, but we both cannot get in and out of the truck at the same time just because he wants his nose up my ass. Going up and down stairs, same way. You can be behind me, you can be in front of me, but you can't be alongside of me while I'm going up and down the stairs because I go up and down stairs like a crab because I have no balance. So that's the funny part of when you have a dog trained, you can't discipline him for doing what he's trained to do, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And he's alerted like 4 times on AFib, or one time I kind of felt a little lightheaded. But a well trained service dog is a thing of beauty. And I'm not emotional service dogs have their place. I mean, God love them. They take care of all our soldiers and vets and cops with PTSD. Emotional service dogs I can't tell you enough about them. But what they call, and this is not me speaking, is the federal government, a true service dog that's trained to be a service dog, like Cooper, like my other dog Camus or Jake, they were all trained for cardiac alert. They were all trained for balance control. I mean, this dog, when I lose my balance, will sit there and I can hold on to his head, or they all his collars have handles, his harnesses have handles, and he's like a rock. He's 87 pounds. They lied to me. They told me he was going to be 60 pounds. Oh my God. He's such, and he's a puppy because his body doesn't fit his paws. I mean, he doesn't know his length or his height. It's hysterical when he stands up and moves a whole chair. Um, but a trained service dog is a thing of beauty. He has given me back my mobility, my confidence, mostly my confidence, because I know he's there to take care of me. I know I'm not alone, no matter what situation, whether I'm in Lowe's or Price Chopper or going out to dinner. And even when I'm with a crowd of people, people are busy talking, having conversations. He's there solely for me. And he can read my emotions, and he knows my heartbeat. He knows, you know, from the smell of the pheromones in my mouth that come out. I mean, he'll get in my face and sniff my face, and what he's doing is checking pheromones. And well, the people, people who don't, people don't accept him, and there's still a lot of that. And the way I deal with it, I extricate myself from the position with the dog. I don't get into an argument. I don't discuss my health or why the dog is needed. I just remove myself from the situation because I have a responsibility to the dog. As he has a responsibility to me, I have to make sure that these people don't terrorize this dog for doing this job. And a lot of people are Karens and Kens, and they just will not let go of the bone. It happened to us the other night at a well-known chain restaurant. Karen and Ken were sitting completely across the restaurant from us. There was nobody sitting around us, but she pulled the manager out of the back and said she wasn't going to eat here because there was a dog in the place. So, with all the good that service dogs do, there is a black side, and that might be a good video to go through and tell you some of the things that I've dealt with. I have a lot of friends in the community. There's a lot of people you can Google about service dogs or YouTube them about service dogs, and you'll see all the problems that we go through. Uh, Lucky for me, this is my third service dog. I have a lot of background, so I know how to deal with people. And over the last 12 years of having a service dog, three different ones, I I've learned just to walk away because it doesn't do any good to argue with somebody who's determined that their point of view is the final say. Because the dog gets upset, you get upset, whoever's with you gets upset. The thing to do is just walk away. Well, here we are. I thought we were closing this out.
He did a good job today. He deserves the recognition.
Hmm. God bless. Tom the winner, the conversationalist. I'm out.